All right, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, December 9th, 2021. We're going to get started here with our pre-market analysis on the S&P 500 futures market. Really happy to be with you guys today. The market has been interesting for the last, I'd say, week or 2 weeks. Volatility has really picked up. The ranges have really, we sell off 100 points and then we come back up 100 points and then it sells off again 100 points. And then we get let's see here, a 220 point push in a matter of 2 days. So it's been a lot of fun, especially if you're on the right side of the market. Just to really quickly review yesterday. Yesterday we talked about it being a very, very ambivalent situation because we came up and we started to kind of peter out up here. And actually, if we pull up the higher time frames, we drew up some trend lines. Where were we? I believe up here or on the 30-minute, we had some trend lines. We were looking at potential kind of channeling upward and then maybe a break lower. And so it was pretty ambivalent. We didn't really trade very much. We called a couple little levels that might have worked, but essentially it was a hands-off market for most of the day. One of the interesting things is that we threw this trend channel up. So we drew across the highs. We then copied that line, pasted a new line, and then brought it down and put it across down to this low back from basically the open from the day before. And it's just kind of interesting to note that the market pulled back right here, went about 3 points past the low of that, and then went ahead and shot out. So just kind of interesting. But it looks like this morning we're basically in the same situation. So we got this, again, 220 point push up from the lows back from December 3rd. And now we're starting to get some consolidation in the market, right? So some people would call this, I guess, a bear flag, where it starts to kind of trend up slightly upward and sideways, and then you expect it to kind of sell off from there. But anything's possible in the market. It looks like the trend line that we have here on the 30-minute is no longer relevant now that we've kind of sold off below that there. So I'll get rid of that, and we'll go ahead and jump up to our ultra high time frames to get started here for today. So like I said this morning, looking at this just from a zoomed out perspective, yesterday we're stuck inside of yesterday's really tight range. So we really need to get out of either side of that for us to say much. Now, if you were here, if we did our pre-market analysis 2 days ago, our bias was to be buyers expecting some type of continued push higher, and there was basically no signs of bearishness. So we had all the bullish kind of signs on every time frame, and no bearish signs. This morning we have a completely mixed situation. I feel like every time we come in and we do this Thursday broadcast, it's like a mixed situation in the market. It just might be coincidence. I don't know. But let's take a look here. Going up all the way to the quarterly, it's a very strong market from that perspective with no signs of exhaustion. And if you look, the previous quarterly bar, which did close just about a week ago, we are holding 50% of that bar right now. So we came down. I think we broke it by about 8 points down to 44.92, and then pop right back up, and what looks like we're almost back to the all-time high there. So holding 50% of that previous quarterly bar, pretty good little clue for the bulls, at least for right now, right? Remember, the situation's fluid, and every new piece of information, every new tick, the whole situation could change. But for now, that's what the quarterly is saying. And our monthly also, we've been saying for, a week and a half, or ever since this new bar formed, that we have the potential for this bullish divergence. So ever since December, the beginning of December here, just about a week ago, we've been watching the potential bullish case off the low that we made, again, down at 44.92. So our monthly giving us a nice bullish signal from down there. Our weekly agreeing. So when this new candle opened, I guess on, this opened December, what are we doing? I don't know the actual open day. I know the close. But when this closed here, we said we have a nice bullish divergence. So this was back from last Friday. And going into this week, we had the bullish case here on the weekly chart as well. So we have a nice alignment of monthly and weekly. And then our daily, we said we've bounced right off this 50% retrace almost to the tick. It was really, really nice. Came down, you can see 4,500 again, 4,500 quarter, being 50% of this whole move for basically the last quarter. And so we're holding there. We didn't really necessarily get a great bullish divergence, but we held a very key level in the market. And right now on this daily chart up in the local area, you can see yesterday a very ambivalent looking bar that closed there, right? And now we're trading within that bar. So we really need to kind of jump out to the top or the bottom to really have any conviction either way. And there's no sign of exhaustion here. So off the highs that we made yesterday, I don't think there's a very strong argument for bearishness. So right now, everything looks nice and strong on the daily as well, except for the fact that we came up and we printed this really ambivalent looking bar up here. So this is going to be important this morning to break out of. Now on the 4-hour, remember yesterday coming in, it was completely ambivalent because we came up into this range and we had a nice bullish signal off the highs and a nice bullish signal off the lows. And so we had to see who was going to win out, and nobody ended up winning out. It basically just kind of chopped around. And so this morning we have basically not much else here. It's the same, it looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. And again, we're basically stuck. We have our kind of lines in the sand, right? We have the low of yesterday, we have the high of yesterday, and essentially it's pretty straightforward. We got to break out on either side. Trading in here between this 4670 and this 4700, 4705. Yesterday I told everybody I think in that range we didn't really want to trade, and this morning we're right in there. So it might make sense to be pretty patient this morning until the market starts to give us a clue as to what direction it's going to go here. Now, because we came up, because we got some exhaustion up top here, we have that ambivalent looking daily bar. That might put a little bit more weight for the bearish side, expecting some type of little correction in this leg up. So we'll talk about that as we go down here. 60-minute, again, I don't think that anything's going to help at this point. We have a lot of bullish and bearish arguments in a tight range. We need the breakout. But from this 60-minute perspective, you can see I threw the fib up, and coming all the way back to a 50% retrace brings us right back into these previous resistances from December 3rd and December 5th or 6th there. So pulling back there, we're still in a bullish territory, even coming all the way back to 45.76, 45.71, that swing high back here from looks like the overnight session of December 5th. All this stuff is game to be tested, and bulls could still jump in here. And so we're just going to have to see. Like I said, maybe it would make more sense for a deeper correction for the larger bounce up. Again, we don't really have any signs of exhaustion up here, right? We have these signs of exhaustion from the 4-hour down, but the daily, the weekly, and the monthly all still look really strong, and they're really not showing any exhaustion. So maybe we'll get a shallow pullback for the continuation higher. I definitely, just going from what my signals are saying, I don't think the high is in here at 47.12. I think we have a little bit more to go, or at least we come up here and we test this area, and then the signals start to print for that bearishness on the daily. So we'll have to kind of watch that. And let's go down to the intermediate time frames, just for tradition, just to see here if the 30 is saying anything. Real quick, I forgot to mention on the 60, and let me look at the 40 here, or the 4-hour. Yeah, so it's looking right now, if we don't come down and break the previous daily low at 46.70, 175, essentially we're flat on RVI, but we're higher in price right now. So assuming we don't come down and break that, we will technically have a bullish divergence on the 4-hour. And then if you go to the 60-minute, same situation, and still in that local area, we have a nice bullish divergence from that, basically from the overnight low. So 60-minute and 4-hour showing bullish divergence from the overnight low, and now the 30-minute giving us agreement. And so that overnight low, let me give you the number. It looks like it's 77.50. So staying above 77.50 this morning might mean we just continue to chug and break above the previous daily high, as we do have a pretty good argument right now from that low at 77.50. And again, if they hold 71.50, the previous 71.75, the previous daily low, we'll still have all those bullish arguments on the 4-hour the 60 minute and the 30 minute here. So there's potential, again, if they can hold, that we'll go ahead and chug higher here. Now, once this breaks this previous daily low, that's just going to open up a pullback. And remember, we're still bull bias. If we go back to the monthly, the weekly, the daily, everything on those higher time frames tells us we're not done with this push right now. And so that's where we are right now. We're going to jump over to our member section and discuss some of these deeper levels to look for some trades this morning. Again, pulling into about 50% or even down into 61. I'm going to be looking for longs. And there's always possibility they get a shallow pullback and they only pull back right into 54, 56.50 here. In fact, we've been talking about 56.50 right across here, just above the CP you see this morning, for about a day or two here. So pulling back into that level would make sense for the bulls to jump in. Just we don't know how big of a bounce it could be. It could be a little push in for a 2-point bounce and then they continue lower. Remember, we don't know, right? The market is, that's the kind of the unknown probabilistic nature of the market that we deal with. So I think we've kind of made the case this morning that looks pretty ambivalent, and we have our high and our low that we're going to look for a break of this morning. So we'll leave it at that and hope you guys have a great trading morning. We'll see you all next Thursday for another edition of our S&P 500 pre-market analysis. Take care.